Chosen one, stop scrolling and listen carefully, because what you are about to hear was not meant to reach you this easily, and if you ignore this moment, you may walk away from the very answer you have been praying for all week. That strange pressure on your chest, that restless feeling in your spirit, that quiet voice telling you something is wrong, it is not random, and it is not your imagination. Heaven has been trying to get your attention before a hidden deception steals another season of your life. And what is about to be revealed will expose why your mind has felt heavy, why your peace has been under attack, and why certain things suddenly feel different. Stay until the end, because what begins as confusion is about to turn into dangerous clarity, and once you hear this truth, you will never see your life the same way again. For the last few days, something has felt unusual. Conversations have felt strange. People around you may have been acting normal, but deep inside your spirit, something kept whispering that all is not well. Maybe you tried to ignore it. Maybe you told yourself you were overreacting. Maybe you convinced yourself that stress was making you think too much. But every time you tried to silence that feeling, it became louder, because what you were feeling was discernment fighting to protect you before the truth fully surfaced. And if you would have ignored that warning, your future could have been delayed by years. This message found you because God refused to let that happen, and what you almost missed will shock you, because the biggest lie in your life was never introduced by an obvious enemy. It did not come wearing darkness. It did not come through someone openly against you. It came through trusted voices, familiar environments, and people you never expected would shape your identity in the wrong way. And what happened next changed everything. Think about the exact moment this week when you almost gave up searching for answers, when you sat alone and thought, maybe I should just let this go. Maybe this feeling means nothing. Maybe I am exhausted and creating problems that do not exist. You nearly dismissed the very warning that heaven was sending to protect your destiny, and the enemy wanted you to call your discernment anxiety so that you would remain blind to what was happening behind the scenes, because deception works best when the victim keeps doubting themselves, and that is exactly what has been happening to many chosen ones. Maybe you replayed a conversation in your mind and suddenly realized something felt off. Maybe someone said something months ago, and only now you understand what they really meant. Maybe a relationship you fought to protect now feels different. Maybe a decision you once defended with confidence suddenly feels heavy, like your spirit is uncovering details your eyes missed before. And that feeling is not destruction, it is revelation. God is allowing hidden truth to rise to the surface before you. Next season begins. What you hear next may explain your entire life, because the enemy does not only want to deceive you once, he wants the deception to become your identity. He wants one painful experience to create a lifelong agreement. He wants rejection to make you believe you are unwanted, failure to make you believe you are incapable, betrayal to make you believe nobody can be trusted, delay to make you believe God forgot you. And if those lies stay unchallenged, they become invisible chains, controlling every future decision you make. And this is where most people lose their battle, because after being deceived, they begin attacking themselves. They start saying, I should have known better. I should have seen the warning signs. I wasted years. I trusted the wrong people, and suddenly the original lie creates a second lie. The first lie hurts you, and the second lie convinces you that you are permanently damaged. But listen carefully. God is not exposing truth so he can shame you. He is exposing truth so he can free you. What I am about to say may hit your spirit deeply. God never looked at your confusion and decided you were disqualified. Heaven never watched your mistakes and canceled your purpose, and Scripture proves it. James 1 verse 5 says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously without finding fault. That means God does not punish you for how long it took you to recognize deception. He simply gives fresh wisdom when you ask, and that wisdom is entering. your life right now, and here is what the enemy fears most. Once your eyes open, you become extremely dangerous, because a healed chosen one is hard to manipulate. A person who understands their assignment is hard to distract, and someone who recognizes deception cannot easily be trapped again. That is why your attack intensified recently, because breakthrough is closer than you think. But wait until you hear where this all truly began, because the root of your struggle may go back years before you realized it existed, and what was planted in your life happened when you were too young to defend yourself. For some of you, it started in childhood. Maybe someone constantly ignored your voice. Maybe a parent spoke words over you that created insecurity. Maybe a teacher dismissed your gift. Maybe leadership made you feel invisible. Maybe people laughed at dreams God placed in your heart. And over time, you created survival habits just to protect yourself from future pain. You learned how to stay quiet, how to avoid risks, how to make yourself smaller so rejection would hurt less. The painful part is many of those voices never realized how deeply their words shaped you, but their limitations became filters through which you viewed your future. And now God is confronting those hidden agreements, because you cannot enter your next season carrying beliefs that were created in broken environments. And this next truth is powerful. What you call humility may actually be fear in disguise. Some people stay hidden and call it wisdom. Some stay silent and call it peace. Some avoid responsibility and call it waiting on God. But deep inside, they are afraid of failure, criticism, and visibility. And the enemy loves when chosen people shrink themselves, because hidden greatness cannot transform anyone. God did not create you to survive quietly. He created you to make impact. And your current season is forcing you to confront the places where fear has disguised itself as humility. Because what is coming next requires confidence rooted in obedience. And just when Moses stood before the burning bush and argued with God, many chosen ones are doing the same thing right now. God is calling them higher while they keep explaining why they are unqualified. They believe in God's power, but struggle believing that power can work through them, and that mindset creates delay. If you are still here, then this message is going deeper than most people are willing to go, because part 1 exposed the lie. But now we are about to uncover why that lie stayed alive for so long, and this next revelation may shake everything you thought you understood about your delays, your pain, and the version of yourself you have been protecting for years. Because what if the greatest obstacle in your life is not the enemy around you, but the survival version of you that was created during your darkest seasons and refuses to let go? Now that God is calling you higher, that version of you was built in pain. It was created when betrayal taught you to stop trusting people, when rejection taught you to stop showing your full potential, when abandonment taught you to become emotionally distant, when failure taught you to stop dreaming loudly. And while those survival habits protected you in one season, they are becoming prisons in this season. Because the same walls that kept pain out are now keeping blessings out too, and this is where many chosen ones get stuck. They keep asking God for new opportunities while holding on to old defense mechanisms. They pray for healthy relationships while refusing vulnerability. They ask for financial expansion while staying trapped in fear. They pray for purpose while avoiding visibility. They ask for breakthrough while protecting the very mindset that keeps them small. And heaven is saying you cannot carry old armor into new territory. What I am about to say may expose why your prayers have felt delayed, because sometimes God is not withholding blessings, He is waiting for your hands to open. And how can you receive what requires surrender when you are still gripping old pain like it is your identity? How can you walk through a new door while dragging the emotional weight of every past betrayal behind you? This reminds me of Moses after fleeing Egypt. He once believed he was called for something powerful, but after failure and rejection, he disappeared into the wilderness for 40 years. Imagine carrying a dream from God only to spend decades feeling forgotten. Imagine remembering what God showed you while watching your life move in the opposite direction. Many of you know exactly what that feels like, and then one ordinary day everything changed. Moses saw a bush on fire that refused to burn out, and when God called his name, Moses did not respond with confidence. He responded with excuses. He said, "Who am I? What if they reject me? What if I fail? What if I am not enough?" And if we are honest, many of you are saying the same things right now in private prayers. You believe God can bless others, but you secretly wonder if He will do it for you. You celebrate other people's testimonies while questioning your own future. You hear messages about purpose and secretly think maybe that applies to everyone except me, and that silent belief is creating distance between you and the assignment waiting for you. But listen carefully, God never asked Moses to be perfect. He asked Moses to be available, and the same is true for you. Your assignment was never dependent on flawless performance. It was always connected to obedience. And every excuse you keep repeating is connected to wounds that God is trying to heal. And here is where this gets uncomfortable. Many people are not loyal to their purpose. They are loyal to the version of themselves created during suffering. They trust their pain more than they trust God. They trust familiar limitation more than unfamiliar freedom, and they keep returning to old thought patterns because pain feels familiar, even when healing is available. That survival version of you may have been strong, independent, guarded, and highly alert. It helped you survive betrayal, disappointment, and seasons where nobody showed up for you. But now God is asking you to release that version because it cannot follow you where you are going next, and that feels terrifying because when survival mode becomes your identity, peace feels unfamiliar, healthy relationships feel suspicious, and real opportunities feel dangerous because you became comfortable living in constant defense. But God is calling you into a season where you must live open instead of closed, and this next truth may completely shift your perspective. Your delay was never wasted time, your hidden season was not punishment, and your waiting period was not evidence that heaven forgot you. It was preparation, happening where nobody could see it. David was anointed king, but still returned to the field with sheep. Joseph received dreams, but was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and forgotten in prison. Esther had to go through hidden preparation before entering the palace, and Jesus spent years in quiet preparation before public ministry began. God often develops people in private before exposing them publicly, because public success without private depth can destroy people. And your hidden season created strength that public recognition could never produce. Every tear you cried in private taught you endurance. Every unanswered prayer built spiritual discipline. Every betrayal taught discernment. Every delay strengthened patience. And every lonely season forced you to depend on God in ways success never could. You thought your life was falling apart when relationships ended, but God was removing distractions. You thought closed doors meant failure, but heaven was redirecting your path. You thought silence meant abandonment, but God was building depth while you waited. And what happens when you finally realize your delay had purpose? You stop comparing your timeline to everyone else. You stop envying people who appear ahead of you, and you start trusting that your story is being written with precision. There are people who reached platforms before they developed character and their success destroyed them. There are people who got opportunities before healing and their pain sabotaged everything. But God refused to let your future collapse under unhealed wounds. That is why your process feels intense, because what is coming requires maturity, discipline, emotional healing, and spiritual strength. And God cares too much about your future to rush unfinished work. And hear this clearly. The enemy wanted your delay to feel permanent. He wanted you to quit one chapter before breakthrough. He wanted frustration to make you abandon your assignment. He wanted comparison to make you resent your journey. But heaven says your waiting season is expiring. What felt hidden is being prepared for exposure. What felt forgotten is being remembered. And what looked delayed is about to move quickly. Before that happens, you must release old agreements. Stop calling yourself rejected. Stop identifying with failure. Stop repeating negative labels created by painful experiences. Stop saying you are behind, because your words are either reinforcing chains or breaking them. You survived seasons that should have destroyed you, and instead of seeing survival as evidence of divine protection, you minimized your testimony and called it luck. But God kept you alive because purpose still exists on your life. This is the moment everything changes, because Part 1 exposed the deception, Part 2 revealed the survival version of yourself that has been blocking your growth, but Part 3 is where the final chain breaks. And this final truth is the one most people spend their entire lives avoiding because it requires complete honesty, complete surrender, and complete trust in God. When your emotions want control, the final agreement that has been silently delaying your breakthrough is this: you have been waiting for external proof before fully obeying what God already told you internally, and that pattern has kept many chosen ones standing at the edge of their destiny while waiting for conditions to feel safer, clearer, and easier. You keep saying, when things calm down, I will move. When finances improve, I will trust. When people support me, I will speak. When fear disappears, I will obey. When I feel qualified, I will begin. But delayed obedience is still disobedience, and many people mistake preparation for procrastination because fear sounds logical when it speaks softly. Think about Peter stepping out of the boat. The storm did not stop before Jesus called him. The waves did not disappear. The wind did not calm down. And yet the miracle happened when Peter moved despite unstable conditions, and many of you are waiting for peaceful waters when God is teaching you how to walk in storms. And here is what fear does: it creates fake wisdom. It tells you now is not the right time. It convinces you to wait one more month, one more year, one more sign, one more confirmation. And while you keep delaying your assignment, opportunities continue passing by because fear has learned how to sound responsible. For some of you, this applies to purpose. You know what God placed in your heart, but you keep postponing it. For some, this applies to relationships. You know you need to walk away, but comfort keeps you trapped. For others, this applies to healing. You know therapy, prayer, forgiveness, and discipline are necessary, but pain has become familiar. And what makes this even deeper is many chosen ones secretly fear success more than failure, because success creates visibility, responsibility, and expectations. Failure feels familiar, but success requires transformation, and transformation forces you to leave environments that benefited from your insecurity. There are people who were comfortable when you doubted yourself. There are environments that liked you small. There are relationships built on your lack of boundaries. And once you fully step into purpose, certain people may no longer have access to the version of you they controlled. That is why growth can feel lonely, because elevation often requires separation, and God sometimes removes people before He reveals purpose, because old voices cannot speak into new seasons. Remember Abraham. God told him, leave your father's house and go to a land I will show you. Notice God did not reveal every detail before Abraham moved. He required trust before full explanation, and many of you want detailed instructions for a journey that only unfolds through faith. You keep asking God for the entire map while He keeps showing you the next step, and breakthrough begins when you stop demanding certainty and start walking with trust. And now I need you to hear this deeply. You are not behind in life. Heaven has not forgotten your name. Your mistakes did not cancel your calling, and your delays did not erase your destiny. God can restore years faster than you think. Look at Joseph. Years of betrayal led to one moment of elevation. Look at Ruth. One season of loss led to divine restoration. Look at Job. Intense suffering led to double restoration. And your story can shift faster than your pain predicts. But before that shift happens, you must release your attachment to old narratives. Stop introducing yourself through your wounds. Stop replaying stories of betrayal. Stop expecting disappointment before opportunities arrive. Stop treating past pain like prophecy over your future. You are not the abandoned version of yourself. You are not the rejected version of yourself. You are not the broken version of yourself. You are not the fearful version of yourself. and you are not the limited version of yourself that trauma created. That person survived a difficult season and deserves compassion, but that version of you is not supposed to control your future anymore. This is your moment to choose faith over familiarity, purpose over comfort, obedience over excuses, and healing over survival mode. And right now I want you to imagine every false agreement breaking off your life, every word spoken over you that contradicted God's truth losing power, every painful label falling apart, every hidden fear being exposed, every chain built through rejection being destroyed. Say this in your spirit: I release every lie I accepted during painful seasons. I reject every false identity created through fear. Forgive people who wounded me. I forgive myself for seasons of doubt. I release my need for control, and I trust God with my future. Say this with authority: I am not forgotten. I am not disqualified. I am not late. I am being positioned. I am being prepared. I am being strengthened. And what God promised over my life will be completed. Your hidden years were not wasted. They built depth. Your tears were not ignored. They built strength. Your silence was not abandonment. It was preparation. Your battles were not meaningless because they created resilience that your future assignment requires. The enemy thought your suffering would make you quit, but instead it built endurance, wisdom, discernment, and spiritual authority. And now the same person who almost gave up is becoming someone who can help others survive their darkest seasons. That is why your story matters. Your scars carry wisdom, your testimony carries power, and your survival proves that purpose is still alive inside you. And here is the final truth: your breakthrough is not someday. It begins the moment you fully agree with what God says about you, instead of what pain taught you. The moment you stop shrinking, stop hiding, stop delaying, stop doubting, and stop apologizing for your calling. Your life begins shifting in ways you never imagined. Doors will open, clarity will come, peace will return, and opportunities will find you, because obedience creates movement. This is your chapter of alignment, restoration, confidence, and divine acceleration, and what looked impossible is about to become your testimony. If this message reached your spirit, then do not ignore what you feel right now, because this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the life you were always meant to live. You are chosen, you are prepared, you are protected, and now you are ready to walk into everything God has prepared for you. And what happens next may be bigger than anything you ever imagined.